This third degree burn on the 64 third degree burn. Yeah, 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 yeah. Chaos, searing Lord of Flames. Keep fighting the chaos that lives inside me, trying to hold down the beast, but it's hard to do that because everybody angers me and triggers it. I live in this world, this Kansas City. What's up, guys? This is What's up, my archfiends of chaos? This is your king of the night, Vincent Valentine EX Turk. Kind of have to be quiet because I don't want to wake the dog up since she's sleeping in my room. But I want to talk about Final Fantasy villains, and these are the Final Fantasy villains that are not overpowered or have godlike abilities. These are just the sociopathic, more psychological villains. These villains don't have a lot of power, but they're scary and terrifying based off the actions that they actually have done in their respective series. So these are the top 5 I'm going to be talking about. So starting with number 1, I want to talk about Yang Rosk. Yang Rosk is not scary per se, but he does control powerful mechs and military might, and in the real world that is kind of scary on the fact that his mechs can take down the strongest tanks and even the World War II air jets in real life. In fact, his tanks could even take out a l'Cie, if possibly. It's really about Yang Rosk's might with machinery, and the fact that he works for an organization that purges human beings and kills l'Cie, and and the worst part is that he thinks he's doing it for justice. He thinks he's doing it to save other people, even though Lightning has schooled him and told him that, they don't really care about the human beings, and the fal'Cie really don't. In fact, the Sanctum is actually led by the fal'Cie, known as Bar Tantalonus, so pretty much the justice that Yang Rosk has, did this for is actually unjust. If anything, it's injustice. Okay, and that's number 1. Number 2 is Dr. Sid from Final Fantasy XII. Now, again, not scary, but you didn't expect him to be a villain. And I had to actually go through the YouTube to look this up, but he has worked under Vayne Solidaire. And he's also the father of one of your main characters. He's the father of Balthanir, which even makes him even worse. Now, the problem with Final Fantasy games is there's too many family feuds, pretty much. Father against son, brother against sister, etc., etc. Now, not to mention he's one of the smartest scientists in the game. It's also the fact that he betrays the party for Vayne because he works under Vayne. Even though his motives, I couldn't say if they're evil or good, but he worked under a tyrannical leader like Vayne Solidaire. And Vayne Solidaire is a tyrant. And the fact that you can work for someone who's completely tyrannical, will also be the father of a person against a person that's part of the rebel group trying to destroy the empire you work for. So I think Dr. Sid actually takes a little bit of the cake for number 2. Number 3. Oh wait, did I do number 1? Oh yeah, number 1 was actually Vayne. Number 4. Number 3. I'd have to say another father figure in the Final Fantasy franchise, and I'm not talking about Jet. I'm talking about Final Fantasy 15's Verstel Bethsicia, or technically Prompto's Bethsicia, technically father. Now, not only this man is played by the awesome Steve Blum, the guy who did Vincent Valentine's voice, but Verstel Bethsicia is terrifying for the fact that is for the fact that he is actually undiluted evil, even eviler than the Niflheim Emperor Idolus Autocrat. In fact, he's more on the side of Arden, and thinks just like Arden, which is very terrifying. Not to mention, Verstel has done disturbing things as well. Verstel has kidnapped people from town to town and determined to demons, the ones that are infected by the Star Scourge, and calls it a purpose, even though, you know, that's not really a purpose. You're gonna send them to die anyways, because they become mindless machines made with demons. So he has took his fellow man, like he says, and turned them into demons. Even though at first Verstel was kind of opposed to it, he just gave into his darker side, and Verstel became just as rotten as Arden. Not to mention, Verstel Bethsisia is not only someone who works under Arden and Idolus, but he is the best friend of Arden. Now, if you're best friends with someone as twisted as Arden is, then you gotta be one twisted son of a bitch as well. Not only that, he made Prompto hate himself, because Prompto's best friends with the Prince of Lucis, and Prompto hates that fact considering he considers Noctis a brother. In fact, Regis is a better father figure than Verstel. You know, I'm glad that Prompto was adopted by Lucians, because I can't imagine what Prompto's life would have been like. Not to mention, he wanted to turn his own son into a demon like he is. And then another one where he wanted to absorb his son inside of him so he can, gain more power. So Verstel's a very sick individual. Very sick individual. So, we're gonna go ahead and get to number 4. Professor Hojo. No one is more evil and sociopathic than Professor Hojo. Remember, this is Sephiroth's birth father, and he's only used Lucretia as a piece of meat experiment to make Sephiroth. Not to mention, he shot Vincent in the head. He's experimented on Cloud and turned Cloud into a Sephiroth clone. He's also, the cause of most of the events of Final Fantasy VII, because his obsession with Genova. But it's also the fact, he's also caused a ripple between Vincent Valentine and Lucretia's relationship. But he also lied to Lucretia. He also told her that Vincent would not get killed, and, well, Hojo took him out. So yeah, Hojo's on number 4 spot for millions of reasons. So the next one's actually a secret one. That's why you didn't see the 5th one. But let me see if I have the 5th one in there in the thumbnail. Nope, I don't. And the 5th one was actually a mystery one, because you didn't expect it. But I think Nero the Sable is, even though I don't really think he's that weak, Nero the Sable is actually pretty weak compared to his brother. And he's also a minion to his older brother, the Emperor of Deep Ground, but also the original host of Chaos. And he's also Hojo's lab partner that helped him through half the stuff, even though being manipulated. And the worst part is, if you play Dirge of Cerberus online, he's actually Vincent Valentine's stepbrother too, so another family figure. And not to mention, he was the one who helped located Vincent and then started the things in Dirge of Cerberus, helping the evil scientist Hojo. So sorry for putting 2 Final Fantasy VII entries on here. But you already know my biases, and I love Final Fantasy VII. And that's pretty much my top favorite weaker Final Fantasy villains. May the crystal be with you, and good night.